Alright, so we are recording. I am with the founder of Media Pouch, Ryan Gàllego. Did I pronounce Gàllego correct?
Gàllego.
Yeah.
It's Spanish, yeah. So it's got like the accent over the A.
Gotcha, Gàllego. I can't roll the R, but I appreciate you for coming on, man. I know that you have a pretty cool story, and I know that you have kind of a similar mindset, so I'm excited to jump into it.
Yeah, of course, man. Always love doing these things.
So, I kind of want to start at like the beginning, I guess. I guess this is the beginning. I know that just from following you on social media, you've kind of lived all over the place. And I know that you originally you were living in Australia for a few years.
Just
or a year?
Yeah, 5 months actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 5 months last year. But over the last 4 years or so, I've been traveling. It's been like travel back and forth every 6 months.
Okay. So what was the appeal there? Why did you even go there in the first place?
Yeah. So ever since I was a little kid, man, I just had this obsession with Australia for whatever reason. Like, I think it stemmed from, I liked kangaroos whenever I was like 3 years old, and that was like my favorite animal at the zoo. And then in 7th grade, I remember going to this, it was like one of those school trips or whatever that you could do abroad.
Yeah.
And that's where I got the initial idea, because I watched this video that they had put on, and I was just like, man, that looks fucking cool. And so that's where the idea started happening. And then, fast forward to graduating college, that's whenever I started working at Amazon. And then my buddy had moved out to Sydney like a year later, and I was like, what the fuck, man? Like, this is my dream to move over to Australia. And then he had moved over there before me. And then, obviously your friend moves somewhere, you got a free place to stay. Like, you just got to buy the plane ticket or whatever.
Right.
And went over there for the first time in 2016. Stayed like a month, backpacked the entire East Coast, like literally staying in hostels, like
no way.
Scuba diving the Great Barrier Reef, flew into Melbourne, like rented a car, drove like I forget the road, but I think it's the Great Ocean Road.
Yeah.
Stayed in these like weird hostels in there too, but it was just amazing. And then, as I started getting further into the career at Amazon, I had the opportunity to go over there and work with them as well. With some of their operations, but then also was interviewing for positions over there. But then after 8 long months of interviewing with Amazon for these different positions, like, I kept on running into this visa issue. And I'm like, fuck this. Like, I'm just going to go do this myself,
right.
And like at this point, obviously there's a whole story like before it, but I'm like, I'm just going to go build Media Pouch over there. And so I just like jumped and did it. And then, yeah.
So you're working for Amazon, and then how long were you living there before you kind of decided that you wanted to start Media Pouch and start putting efforts into it?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't even living there yet. Like,
oh, really?
I literally, I quit Amazon May 29th of last year, and then literally 30 days later, I just booked a one-way ticket and just like packed up like my camera bag and one suitcase and some clothes, and I'm like, well, let's see what happens, It's my lifelong dream to live in Australia, and now I've got Media Pouch going and I'm full-time in it, so let's just go build it over there.
So were you worried at all before you made that move that you were going to get like homesick, or you wouldn't fit in or like it?
Yeah, I mean, I had some, I'd say I was pretty fortunate in like not having to deal with the homesickness at that point, like in the anxiety stage, right? Of like moving over, because my best friend lived over there.
Right.
So that was assurance to me. Like, if shit just goes wrong, I've got my best friend there at least. So
how does I've never even been to Australia. Like, the idea is like so far out of my range, I think. What's it like living in Australia compared to here in the U.S.? Yeah,
it's very different. The people are very different. The landscape's very different. Business is very different. And, if we start with like the landscape, obviously you've got Bondi Beach, which is where I lived at, and you've got the iconic icebergs, and it's just amazing. It's beautiful. Like the women are just as beautiful too. Like it's literally like every meme and everything you see on social media about like Australians, like, yes, it's true. Yeah. And then you've also got like 29 other different ethnicities and races there, and everybody's just beautiful. It's like this black pot of, or like this black molding pot of just beautiful people. Right. But then you get into the culture side of it. Like I'd say the biggest difference in culture is like they're very much more environment friendly and like more green and like conscious of their health and, you know, what they put in their bodies and what they eat. So like everything was super healthy. I mean, when I lived over there, I was in the best shape of my life. Yeah. Like I was ripped, abs, like, you know, like veins coming out of the arms, because I was like working out every day on the beach, and like everything you eat is just like, there's no GMOs, like there's no unhealthy crap in it. And so it's just straight good stuff for you.
Are there like fast food restaurants over there? Or like, how's that?
Not really. Really? So McDonald's is there. There was one McDonald's there in Bondi, but it's not called McDonald's over there.
Like the healthy version?
Well, they call it Macca's.
Okay.
And I mean, it's still unhealthy. Like it's McDonald's at the end of the day, but it's kind of a like different concept over there, because like McDonald's is more of a like here we just do it every day. We're like, oh, gotta eat something quick. Like over there it's like, oh, like we should have like a special meal like McDonald's, you know.
It's
like
more of like a celebratory meal as opposed to like just grabbing some filler food for lunch.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so so were you working for Amazon then while you were in Australia at all?
Not last year. In March when I went over there, I was working for them, and then in 2018, yes, like working remote from the U.S. But then also like in March, I was over there for 2 weeks with them. Okay. But then obviously quit in May, and then it was like no Amazon. I always kind of hoped that I would run into those people over there, like, oh, hey guys, you know, like I said fuck Amazon and came over here on my own to build my own business.
I'm killing it with my own company now. Yep. So like kind of tell me, like, how did Media Pouch start?
Yep. It officially started in January of 2018. That's whenever I formed like an actual, like a legit LLC, for the company, because at that point I was on a business trip to Seattle with Amazon, and one of my coworkers had been talking to her dad about like he was in the custom home like industry, and like he had built like Bill Gates's house up there in Seattle, like, and he thought that there was something I could help him with, and so he wanted to grab dinner. I'm like, well, I'm not gonna say no to that. Like, right. I think you've worked on some pretty cool projects here. So, and he wanted me to help him build a new website, and I just remember looking at him like, oh, I don't know what information you got, but I'm not building websites. But you know, like me, it's like you just look at opportunity, and I'm like, I'll figure it out. Like there's Squarespace and like Wix and all that stuff that you can easy website on.
Yeah, it really isn't. I mean, I'm like, if you build a website from scratch, it's definitely hard, but like nowadays there's so many tools, and like you said, like there's WordPress, Wix, Squarespace, all these like drag and drop website builders, to where it's really not that difficult. Yeah. It's more the design aspect of it, and like making things look pretty and making like the customer experience, I guess, as flawless as possible.
Yeah, exactly. They're easy to use and get set up like on that end. They're just not very SEO friendly, is what I've come to learn over the years. So that's why, I mean, we build on WordPress and stuff. But yeah, so as I'm like, you know, I've taken on this task of building this website, and I hit him up and ask for, you know, pictures and videos of his homes that he's built. And he's like, oh, I don't have any. And this like light bulb just like goes off in my head, like, holy shit, like real estate media production. Because I had just at that point given up on studying for my real estate license, because I don't know if you watch this show, $1 Million Listing LA and New York. It's on Bravo. It's super good. Like these top agents and like probably the US or North America like sell $1 million homes.
I've definitely seen similar shows like that on like Netflix. And,
yeah. So you get it. And So that inspired me to study for my real estate license.
Yeah.
But then I started studying and I'm like, yeah, fuck this. Like, this is not what I thought it was going to be. And I'm like, like, but as I'm watching the $1 Million Listing LA and stuff, I'm like, you know what? I don't think I want to be the agent. I think I want to be the camera guy filming these houses and like the stuff that these guys are doing. I think that's cool. And so that's where when that light bulb went off, that's what I was thinking about. And so that had turned into a, you know, it was enough validation and coin, you know, money at that point where I'm like, yeah, like let's form an LLC.
Yeah.
But still at that point, it was such like, it was still concept, right? Like really not much had been validated. But then 6 months later, you know, I go to Croatia with my buddies for the Yacht Week. Have you heard of that?
No.
It's like this crazy concept actually. But you're just like it's like you're in the Mediterranean Sea, but it's like 40, 50 yachts just like island hopping. And it's just like, it's all these like 20 to 35 year olds, you know, it's a hefty ticket to get there. Right. You know, so like everybody's doing well for themselves and you're just around great people. And, so my buddies and I had went and, you know, obviously we're doing a lot of partying and stuff like that, but we just, you know, like, at the first day that we were there, I bought a drone like a week before. That was my first drone. Yeah. And the sunset that night was just unreal. And so I just like fly this drone. It's not even a good video. Like it's a pretty shit video if I'm being completely honest. Like this is the first time I'm flying a drone. I'm above water. Like there's helicopters and airplanes going over this port. I'm like, oh man, like this is nerve wracking. But the sunset came out pretty good. And our captain was pretty involved with the Yacht Week. Like she was more than just a captain. Like she had her hands on quite a few different things. And so I showed her and then she sent it to the marketing director and she's like, check this out. Like he just captured this. She comes over 5 minutes later and she's like, hey, our videographer for the week didn't show up. Here's a GoPro, you know, brand new GoPro Hero 7, I think it was. Like, would you mind capturing some content and flying your drone for us? You know, keep the GoPro. We don't care about that. Like, we just want the content.
For sure.
And I'm like, okay. I'm like, I don't think you guys know that I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, but I'm like, sure. And it ended up being the best thing ever because you've got this GoPro and we're just like, yeah, this is the Yacht Week GoPro. And everybody's just like, everybody's around us. Like, we're the party group. Like, everybody wants on this footage. Like,
right.
And, you know, at the end of the trip, my buddy and I are just like, man, we should just build a media production crew, team, company, and just like do these like Yacht Week videos for them. Right. Like we should do this and just like have different teams doing different things like adventure, real estate. And that for me was so, I don't even know how to explain it. Like, it's like God just like tapped on my shoulder and said, go do this.
Like right place, right time.
Like, go fucking do this.
Yeah. And
so I did. Like, I came back and just like such a clear vision on like what I wanted this to be. And I knew that I needed to stick it out at Amazon a little bit longer for some stock to vest so that I could have a safety net and like fuel media pouch. But, you know, I was going to stay for another like 2 years, but I was like, no, I'm like, I can't. I was so like into media pouch by the time like last May came around that I just didn't want to stay any longer.
Well, yeah. And you're like, your mind is not going to be invested in your work at Amazon or whatever job you're working because you're so invested in this company now.
No, I mean, the really funny thing too is like, if you're really good at your job, like there's a lot of things you can automate. And I pretty much automated myself out of a job at Amazon. Like I was quite the like button pusher, like, because I just had like scripts running for me to like mine data and like everything I needed to do my job, like was just like, I'm like, this is fucking boring, man. But like at the same time, I'm like in charge of like 5 different fulfillment centers and their financial health and traveling and getting to see the world and like working with different teams and like on an international project. And I'm just like, like it doesn't excite me anymore. You know, like I'd rather be
Have you ever read the book 4 Hour Work Week, where he just talks about basically automating your entire life?
I know Tim Ferriss. I listened to his podcast. I haven't read his book, but he's 100% right. Like most of what people do every day can be automated. Like really a lot of people when they go into work, they just, kind of bullshit.
For sure.
They're just like lazy and they don't want to be there. I was reading some stats the other day, and it's like 80% of Americans do not like their job and do not want to be where they're at. And then 15% absolutely hate their job and like want to quit, but can't or don't want to, or can't afford to. And then the other 5% are people like me, who are just like extremely happy with what they're doing, and just they can't see themselves doing anything else.
Yeah. Well, what's frustrating too is like, I think you're kind of expected as an employee, at least, to, if they're paying you for 8 hours, you're expected to work every hour of that 8 hours. But if you can find ways to automate things and still produce the same result, I don't see what the problem is with that.
I didn't either.
That's ideal.
It really is. And I mean, if anybody knows like anything about Amazon that's listening, or like even you, like Amazon is intense. Like, I mean, there were weeks that I was putting in like 70, 80 hours, like on average across like multiple months. Like, you go into, they call it peak, which is like October, November, December. Cause like
now.
Yeah, exactly. Like October is when all of your stuff's coming into the FCs. November is still coming in, but you've got Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So you're starting to ship a lot. And then after Black Friday, like, dude, you live there. I mean, like, you're there 7 days a week, just bags underneath your eyes, heavier than what you can hold up. But that's the operations life. And then finance was a little bit better. But yeah, you can't really automate yourself in operations, but in finance, I definitely did, because it's more computer based. And I mean, I remember the days like I was playing like ping pong for like 6-7 hours a day with like the GM, because I'm just like, what do you do? Like, let's go push our button, once an hour. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. All right, so I kind of want to go back to this this yacht party story. This is crazy. So like, you were given this GoPro, right? Like, did this ruin your trip at all because you felt like you were tasked to capture content instead of enjoying the actual experience?
No, because okay, yes and no. Because we were still partying and doing our thing every day and every night, and like we just brought the GoPro. Like I would strap the thing on my wrist so that I wouldn't lose it, and like we just took it everywhere with us and just hit record, and like we just did what we were gonna do anyways. Right. But then yes, it ruined the trip, because on the like second to last day, a little too much partying that night, and I was like on the boat back home, or like the boat back to the pier, and I don't even really remember this. This is kind of like what I've tried to tell myself of like what's happened to this GoPro, but the GoPro was lost that night and it was never seen again. And so like all of this content that was on this GoPro never saw the day of light. Like,
somebody sabotaged you and was trying to steal it.
I don't know what happened to this thing, but that next morning I'm like, fuck guys, have you guys seen the GoPro? Like, does anybody have this? Like, we're frantically trying to find this GoPro. And so then, this one chick on the other boat, like, because I'm just going boat to boat, I'm like, does anybody have a GoPro? Like, it looks like this, like it's the Yacht Week one. And this one chick, she's like, I have a GoPro. And I'm like, no shit. She's like, yeah, I found it in my bed this morning. I'm like, awesome. I'm like, oh God. I'm like, I don't know how the GoPro got there, but like, let me see this GoPro. And she gives it to me, and I'm like, holy fucking shit, it's the GoPro. And so like,
awesome.
I like take this GoPro, I go back to the yacht, and I'm like, guys, I found it. And then, we're like looking at it 5 minutes later, we're looking at the footage. It's not
It's all deleted?
No, it's not the GoPro. It's somebody else's GoPro. And by some miraculous chance, this girl woke up with a random GoPro in her bed. and it's not ours.
What a tease. That sucks.
I know. It was the biggest tease.
So did you guys never find the GoPro?
No, we still make jokes about it.
Wow.
And then the Yacht Week did end up charging me for it. So
Really?
I had to pay for it.
Well, it's you know what it is. It's that company's CMO now. They snagged the GoPro and took credit for it.
Well, because I was so butthurt about it. I'm like, well, wait, you said that I could just have this thing, and they're like, well, you didn't give us content. And I'm like, I've got everything on my Sony and the drone though, and whatever.
Right. Okay. So that was kind of like the start of the idea, I guess. Like, did you ever have an interest towards, I guess, filming and like media production before all of this?
Yeah. So whenever I was 14, that's when I picked up my first camera. I was playing in a soccer tournament, and I was helping my coach sell T-shirts at the soccer tournament that weekend, and there was a trailer booth set up next to us called STL Digital, and they were just getting slammed with business because essentially the photographers would go out there, take pictures of the kids, they would come back, look at the pictures on the laptop, and then they would buy the pictures. Super cool idea. And the owner, he came over to me and he's like, hey, I'll give you $20 if you come help me for an hour. And I'm like, yep, sounds like a deal. $20 as a 14-year-old, cool. And so then we just started talking and getting to know a little bit more about each other. And it turned out he was going to be over in Belleville, Illinois the following weekend, which was the town over from where I'm at. And I was like, yeah, you pay me $20 an hour, I'll come next weekend,
Right.
And it just, that's where the creativeness and photography, videography really started that's the forefront of where it started.
Right.
Because it then turned into Paul, who's the owner, teaching me editing, photo, video, marketing, sales, scheduling, you name it. I was just trying to learn as much as I possibly could, and he was just teaching me everything. And I worked with him from the age of 14 all the way up until I graduated college.
Really?
Because it was a great job. He had given me so much, responsibility and not power, but
freedom,
autonomy to do whatever. That I was just running these tournaments on the weekends by myself. And, by the end of it, he kind of was serious, but joking with me at the end when I was graduating. He's like, you want a franchise? I'll literally, you're the only person that I'd do a franchise with. And I was like, no, because I had everything lined up with Amazon at that point, and I didn't know I was going to go this route.
Yeah.
I had no clue.
You never, throughout college, you didn't think you would work for yourself?
I knew I would work for myself. I knew I would have a company. I knew a kangaroo was going to be the logo of the company. I didn't know what company it was going to be or what the business was going to do. Mm-hmm. I knew it would get there eventually. I just had no clue what it was going to be, because in college I studied economics and finance with a specialization in portfolio analysis. So I thought that I was going to go work on Wall Street. Mm-hmm. That was actually the ultimate dream.
Right.
And then Amazon recruited me and then got into operations, and it was all over the place in college, and then those 2 years afterwards, because I had really no clue.
Right. Well, I think it's hard when you're in college as an 18-year-old to actually have an idea of what you want to do and have it last.
Yeah, 100%. I could have gone. I still kind of joke I still think the concept of working on Wall Street would be fun. I think that'd be great to go experience that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's hard to put your finger on something when you haven't even done that exact thing.
It's also weird how one little instance, you taking that, I guess, $20 an hour job and when you're 14 eventually evolved into what you're doing today.
Yeah, I think that's the craziest shit. When I really think about the last 12 years, that's fate. That is some serious fate and destiny and
mm-hmm.
whatever happened 12 years ago, crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm a big believer that everything kind of happens for a reason, and
yep,
anything that doesn't happen how you want it to is like a purpose behind it, or like there's a reason to grow because of that.
100%. I mean, there's obviously a purpose to go work at STL Digital for, whatever, call it 8 years.
Yeah, right.
Because I learned everything about photo, video. And I just ended up starting a media production company.
Yeah. So tell me, like, where you guys are at now. You're living in Texas now, right?
Yep. So we're headquartered in Austin. I live in Austin. We service right now Houston, Dallas, San Antonio, and Austin. Mm-hmm. Those are our 4 playgrounds, if you will. Mm-hmm. And it's I don't know exactly how you want me to say the current, but like we're just doing anything and everything that we can get our hands on that's like the most cool and epic shit to film and
right.
Get in front of our clients and for them, because our branding and whatnot is that we make epic videos that drive results.
Right.
And it's all about the epic videos. Like at the end of the day, like we want the epic videos and we want to shoot that stuff, whether it's real estate, like in the $1 million homes, or whether it's, this cool new international sunglass company that we just finished filming for, or, automotive for Ferrari and Lamborghini.
Yeah.
Like that's the stuff that we want to be doing. And the drive results part didn't come until I had come back from Australia last year, because in Australia, like you can imagine, like the content's pretty cool. Like you're in Australia, like
100%.
Like it's really hard to make a bad video in Australia. Yeah. Like to be completely honest, like it was a huge portfolio builder. But the thing I noticed over there when I was working with clients was that we filmed all these epic things like homes, businesses, like whatever, but people didn't know how to what to do with leverage it. Like they didn't know how to like properly distribute it. And so they pay for this expensive video and then it just sits on a website and it's like, oh, like what are you guys doing? Like you should be running ads with this and like putting it in email signatures and putting it in courses or sending it to clients or stripping the audio, like whatever it is, there's a proper way to distribute it. And so that's where I took control of it. Like when I came back to the States and I'm like, I'm going to control the epic videos and drive the epic fucking results as well. Yeah. And so when you pair those two together, content is king, distribution is queen. And so it just makes for this like really, really strong formula of video marketing through, what I've coined video assets, where you get an ROI on this stuff. But, some of the things that we've done this year that I'm most proud of is, since we started, we've helped sell over $10 million in real estate. We've helped raise over $2.5 million for startups. We've helped raise over $85,000 for nonprofits. But, from February to just last night, like we have helped 14 different businesses generate, on the books right now, it's $750,000. Off the books, until I can analyze this last one, it's around $2.2 million. Wow. In new revenue for 14 different businesses through our videos and our strategy.
I mean, video is king. It's the future and it's not going anywhere.
It's it's the hot industry right now. Like, I mean,
100%.
I'm very, very lucky and fortunate and we're doing what we're doing because video's taken the world by storm. Mm-hmm. What was going to take 5 years for people to start doing these videos and everything like that and go online quicker. It just happened overnight.
It did. Mm-hmm.
And how are you supposed to talk to your clients and customers and consumers and online audience if you're not doing video? Like people want to see you, and that builds trust and credibility to you and your brand. And it's also like, even now, like I do more FaceTimes and Zoom calls than I do emails or regular phone calls or text messages, because people just want to see you and like get an update.
For sure.
Like
100%. So do you guys do you guys have a pretty solid pipeline of business coming in towards you guys? Or are you guys like actively seeking new business?
It's all inbound now, which is insane to think about. That my like Media Pouch is all inbound business now within a year. Because it's like when I came back from Australia, all of November, December, and January, I'm not shitting you, I was going to anywhere at minimum 3 and at maximum 5 networking events a day. Like I would go to a breakfast, a lunch, and a dinner, and a happy hour, and an after hours one, just to network with people in all the different industries, from startups to real estate to you name it. Like I was there. So that was all outbound stuff. But, you know, even in those 3 months, I was kind of barking up the wrong tree because those weren't necessarily the clients yet. But I didn't know who my ideal client was at that time, but it helped me figure it out. But once I did, like that's where it switched and the business and everything became inbound, and it became referrals and word of mouth and partnerships and all that stuff.
That's got to be such a stress reliever, just not having to even, I guess, worry about that, like the sales side of things anymore.
Yeah, I mean, like, yes and no, because now, like it's like this month and next month, right? Like, there are shoots going on every single day, and like people want this stuff right now. Like, there's no like time to be like having a delay with this stuff because people want it right now. And so, like, even next month, I was telling you earlier, like we're in Chicago, then we're in Dallas for 2 different shoots, but then there's a total of 15 shoots going on in 30 days. I mean, it's insane, man.
Yeah,
like it's
crazy.
insane. And it's forced me to, you obviously can't be everywhere at one time.
Right.
And that's where it's become really hard for me because I want to be doing the video. I want to be doing the editing because like it's my look, it's my touch. But as the company, like, you know, becomes more of a brand and not just me, you know, it's more Media Pouch. Like I have to figure those things out. And so I've brought on like 2 videographers, like 3 editors, a digital marketer.
Yeah.
I had an assistant. We'll probably pick back up with another assistant here shortly. But, you know, you just have to, I've had to figure out how to handle all of this volume because you can't do it on your own.
Yeah. Yeah. How do, like, how do you stay, I guess, disciplined and organized just on like a daily basis to make sure you're getting everything done that you have to get done?
It's, I mean, you said it, it's a lot of organization, and you have to really tee up your, you have, like, so what I do, how I stay organized and how I know, like, what's the most important thing is, I say work on the thing closest to the money and work on the highest priority, like, you know, most important thing. And so, like, I make my to-do list every single morning of, like, these are the projects that are, you know, WIP or work in progress. And then there's everything else. Like, you know, what does the accountant need? Like, do I need to meet with my tax person?
Yeah.
What does my digital marketer need to be working on? Like, do I need to send files? Like, so there's all that stuff. And then I just rank them. Like, I just rank, like, what's the most important.
And you do this every day?
Every single morning.
Really?
Yeah. So, like, I'll wake up. Usually I'm up at like 6:30 every morning, and then in the office by like 7:38. And then as soon as I get in that office, I write that stuff down. You know, like here's everything I need to do, and then I just rank it, and then it becomes a competition for me. Like how quick and efficient can I get through this list in this order?
Is that like a daily list to where you're expecting to accomplish all 5 or whatever of those things in a day, or is it more like long term than that?
It's long term because I'll care, like, so if I have a list of like 1 to 20 things going on, I know that not all 20 of those things are getting finished today.
Yeah.
But I know that whatever is getting crossed off throughout the day, it's going to carry over into tomorrow's, like, you know, note page. And then what was number 10 yesterday is now number 1 today. And so it's constantly just turning that page, and that was, you know, 10 yesterday, but that's closest to the money today. So now it's number 1.
Yeah. I'm a big believer in, like, I have a whiteboard in my room, and I like literally have a daily to-do list to like have different prioritized items on there. And I don't understand how people can't have that. Like, they can get by without it.
Dude, I don't think they do. Because I don't know one person that just like keeps it all in their head and they're like, oh yeah, today I did this and it's 70% done. So now I can do this thing that's 50% done. Like literally, no, that it doesn't work like that. And you're going to be scrambled and all over the place. Because like it's not just a list for me. Like I put in it's color coded, like what that project is. And then there's a column like who's working on that, where, like what percentage is done on it, when is the deliverable date. Like it's a complete tracking system that it either goes on my notes on my Mac or it goes in an actual physical note. I don't know.
I really like writing stuff down in like an actual notebook.
Yeah. I think it's more powerful actually.
I think so too. I think it kind of like molds it into your, I guess, like subconscious mind a little bit, and you just think about it more.
Yeah. There's just something about writing it down that makes it more real. Cause like even typing it, it's like, oh, okay, now it's there.
Yeah.
But writing it makes it really real.
100%. So what's like the future you think of Media Pouch? Do you have like a long-term vision for where you see it going?
Yeah. It's, the ultimate goal is for us to just, take out Red Bull.
What do you mean? What do you mean what do you mean like with their like exports videos and stuff like that? Or
like, I think a lot of people, maybe they do or don't know about Red Bull, but like a lot of people think Red Bull is the like the energy drink that you drink every day, right? Like I think that's what most people are like, oh, Red Bull, like what do you mean? But Red Bull is actually the number one content creator in the entire world. Because there's Red Bull, which is the holding company, but then you've got the entity, subsidiary, that's Red Bull Media House. And Red Bull Media House literally captures the most epic, cool shit videos that go on in the world. From their stratosphere jump that happened, I think 8 years ago. Like they put on their own events. God, I don't know the German name for it, but it's like the Flüger something where they like build their own like airplanes and then like jump off something into the water. But they sponsor and host like all of these cool athletes and events, and they have the coolest content in the world, and that's the ultimate, vision now.
Yeah, I didn't know that about Red Bull. I mean, I knew that they had like their, I guess like they have like something to do with like X Games and like stunts and stuff like that, but I didn't know they were big in, I mean, it makes sense, just content in general, because they're creating these crazy scenarios.
Exactly. It's wild what they do. Because I would say 9 out of 10 people, or like 99% of people have probably seen Red Bull content, but they have no clue that it's Red Bull content because it's messaged in a very different way. But they also license out their footage to, branded advertisements and stuff like that. So you would never even know.
Do you think they do that on purpose as like a way to hide it, or just because it's easier for us to just give this content to someone else and they'll pay us for it?
It comes down to like your different revenue models, right? Because there's like you can license your footage. They'll never sell their footage. They just license their footage, which is lucrative, right? Like the stuff that they're capturing, like really nobody else is capturing. So like if I want somebody in a wingsuit, like going down the Appalachian Mountains, like probably going to go to Red Bull and be like, hey, you guys probably have this, like, what's it going to cost? And so that's a revenue model. But then you've also just got their, what they do with the sponsorships of their athletes. They've got surfers, they've got skiers, they've got like skateboarders, like BMXers, like, and so they're creating the content and the story and the brand for those people as well, which, if you really think about it, those BMXers and motocrossers and skateboarders, those are, that's those guys' business. It's a person, but that's their business and entity and company at the end of the day. And so those are their clients too. So it's just different revenue models. Yeah.
Would you ever like look into like making full-length films or anything like that?
I don't know if it interests me to do like films. I think I kind of joke about like you know, bringing Hollywood to Austin and like, you know, scratching the whole LA thing and like bringing it to Austin. And I don't know, I wouldn't make a film, but I would make like a really cool, like Steven Spielberg movie, like, you know, like try to top him at some point, like make I don't know what I'd produce, but I think that would be really fun to have like a massive size production like that go on for like a year and just work with some really cool actors and models to make it happen. I think that'd be cool.
I think it's interesting how like the whole media like landscape is kind of changing. And what I mean by that is like when I sit down and eat dinner at night, I don't watch Netflix a lot of times. I go to YouTube and I watch like a 15 or 20 minute video. Yeah. It's no longer like I need to sit down and watch a full length movie to be entertained. I can watch 2 or 3 different little shorter videos on YouTube and get the same, I guess, gratification from it.
Yeah. That's really funny you say that, because I thought that, I obviously like know that it's the mediums, the platforms are changing. And people are consuming more content on YouTube than ever. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I do the same thing when I get home. Like I don't pop on Amazon or Netflix or Hulu. I go straight to YouTube and I'm just like, all right, cool. Let's catch up with the Joe Rogan experience. Cause I love watching the podcast. Like, I just love watching that. And then everything else, like it's quick little stints. Like you're saying, like how much content can I like digest in an hour before I need to go to bed?
Right.
So,
well, and like, you hear it everywhere. The attention spans of everyone is just like getting slimmer and slimmer because of social media and the constant content being thrown in your face. So it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody's ADD nowadays. Like everybody's got some ADD, ADHD going on, like because of, you know, how many notifications blow up your phone and like ads popping up on YouTube and like, you know, everybody's just trying to grab your attention online right now.
Attention is currency. Like in 2020, attention is currency.
Yeah. I mean, there's, you know, when you're really looking at content and media and video and all this stuff right now, and even like if you really dig into like the Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn algorithms, like the number one KPI, key performance indicator, that they look at is not the amount of subscribers or followers or likes or comments or shares that you have, but the number one thing, like, you know, highest powerful point in that algorithm is number of minutes watched.
Watch time. Yeah.
Like watch time. Yeah, exactly. Like that is what ranks the highest in all of those algorithms. And so, you know, not to cheat myself or whatever, but like as soon as we post a video for Media Pouch, like whether it's no matter what platform it's on, me and like, you know, I'll send that same video link to like as many people as I can, and then the team, I ask everybody to watch the full thing, because if I can get 10 people to watch the full video in that first, you know, 2 minutes, it's gonna rank better, and then it's gonna get in front of like more people's like screen, because I know that the algorithm looks at that and values it the most.
You do. You kind of have to like work the system a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I've heard of like Facebook groups or like just like almost alliances of like social media influencers where they'll post content and then they'll like post it in a Facebook group or something, and everyone in that group will go and just like that or interact with that video or that content, because like you said, it shoots it to more people.
That's why it doesn't work though, because I've been a part of these, you know, Facebook groups and Instagram groups to like, you know, help get Media Pouch off the ground and get more of an audience. And I realized that those groups weren't working. And I actually I didn't realize this, you know, the watch time or number of minutes watched was the number one rank in the algorithm until like, I don't know, a month ago. Mm-hmm. But now I'm like, okay, that makes sense why these groups didn't work.
It totally makes sense. Well, yeah, like I was kind of looking into the advertising models for like podcasts. And if you put an ad in like the middle of your podcast as opposed to like the first minute or two, it's almost twice, like companies will pay twice as much to have it in the middle as opposed to the very beginning, because I guess you're just more invested in like, I think that makes sense.
I think so, yeah, because like if there's ever an ad in the beginning of something or at the end, I'm just like, man,
you skip through it.
You skip through it, but like it's different in the because it costs more to place an ad in the middle, because if it's in the middle, you can't skip that ad. On YouTube anyways, like it's either a full-length ad that you have to sit there and watch the fucking thing, which pisses me off.
Yeah.
But I get it. Or you can pay for the ad that is, it runs for 5 seconds and then you can click the skip ad.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's why those ones are the most valuable.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. Because they know that, like, if you're in the middle, like, you're already watching this podcast or whatever it is that you're watching, like, odds are, like, you're definitely in tune with the screen at that point.
I love the psychology behind social media. Have you seen The Social Dilemma?
I have.
It's scary.
It is.
It's really scary.
I think about these things, and like, if we're being fully transparent and honest here, like, I probably have a problem and addicted to social media.
For sure.
But, like, I always ask myself, I'm like, but how do I not? How am I even able to, like, get off of social media when, like, my entire business and livelihood revolves around it? Like, I don't know.
I think if you view social media more as like a tool, like for a business, you kind of have a healthier relationship with it then, because you kind of see it as more of a business thing to do, as opposed to me just scrolling on Instagram every second to see what everybody's doing with their lives.
Yeah. I will say, like, I was really bad at that for a long time, and now I think I've gotten a lot better because I on my phone, I don't allow any notifications. Like,
I'm the same way.
Like, Instagram doesn't get to notify me, like Facebook, like, none of them get to notify me except for my email. So I have to actually, manually want to click Instagram, and then I would have to check my notifications for the day or whatever. And that's really helped.
But, I've also noticed myself, because I do the same thing where I turn notifications off. And because they're turned off, I'm always checking it, though, because I don't know if there is a notification in there that I didn't get.
And that's where the power of social media and the psychology that we just talked about, like, it's such a dopamine release that, like, you're addicted to that good feeling. And you're like, let's see if Lisa liked my shit, or, like, if Lisa's messaging me, or whoever it is. Like, you just want that fucking dopamine to hit, and you're just like, that was nice. And then you go back, and then 15 minutes later you're like, like, I want some more. Like, everybody is a fucking meth head on social media.
It's so true. Like, what I think is really scary is when you have, like, young kids on it, like 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds, and their brain's kind of still developing. What are the long-term effects going to be for them? Because we're kind of the new, I guess, generation to where social media really blew up.
Yeah.
20 years from now, when kids are growing up with Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and they're on it constantly at a young age, I feel like that's got to have negative impacts.
I think it's positive and negative. I think the kids growing up with social media and access to, like, iPads and everything like that at, like, such a younger age, like, it's pretty scary to look at it. And oftentimes I'm just like, why do you let your kid, like, have an iPhone or iPad at that age? But I think that they're going to be so much more smart and intelligent about things that, like, they're able to consume content at such a younger age. I mean, like, there's so much good stuff out there to consume and, like, digest if you're digesting it the right way, right? Like, I think that's where you can kind of get into, like, restrictions and, like, what you're able to do, as a minor that young of an age. But I also do see the bad side effects of it too, like, more anxiety, like, more depression, because that's definitely a real thing. You can get pretty lost in there on Facebook or Instagram, like, I want abs like Jim, or, like, I wish my body looked like Jane's, like, that's a real thing. And then, even, like, I look at, like, all my friends and people my age getting, like, engaged and married, and I'm just like, yep. Like, I don't know, like, I'm married to Media Pouch, I guess, and like, that's my long-term girlfriend. But so, like, I have that sense of FOMO, like, am I missing out? Like, should I be getting married? Like, should I be in a relationship? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think so, but you know, it's a real thing.
Right. I kind of want to touch on that a little bit. Like, as an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
you do live a very different lifestyle than your average person.
Yep.
I would imagine, like, you kind of have to neglect the, like, romantic relationship part, or how does that work for you?
It's interesting. Let's grab another beer and then
Sounds
we'll
good.
get into
Sounds
that
good.
one.
Yeah. So what is it like? Like, as an entrepreneur, you live a very different life. Like, romantically, like, relationships, is that difficult as an entrepreneur?
Yes. The short answer is yes. It is, I mean, I'd say I've changed as a human being and person, and like mentality and like maturity and everything quite a bit over the last, like, I don't know, call it year even, you know, like since Amazon, because up until just July of this year, like I was in a 2-year long relationship, and you know, like we had started out fine and like great and like everything, and but towards the end there, like it just, I got so focused on Media Pouch and building it, and you know, not to say that the relationship was a distraction, but like it was, like, you know, like when you're like trying to really build something and like a business and a brand, and like there's a lot of like, dude, like I've had countless like all-nighters, like there's countless 15-16 hour days, and you have to like go meet with so many people. It's like the 3 to 5 networking events per day that I was telling you about. Like you have to be just so on it, and there's really not a whole lot of time for anybody else. And I think that was really the downfall of that relationship. Like I think that there was, you know, a couple other things going on there, but at the end of the day, like it wasn't really working because like I, you know, am not there like in the relationship, like in the house, like, you know, because we lived together, and my mindset's just Media Pouch, sales, like, you know, your money starts going fast, like when you're living on savings, and like, you know, you're like, fuck, like, you know, like it's all you can think about. But I will say, like, you know, nothing against that, you know, previous relationship, but as soon as that ended in July, I mean, fuck, I can look at the revenue charts, and that shit just went up. Like I was putting all my time and energy into Media Pouch, like one, like, you know, distract myself from what was like really happening with the breakup, and like not deal with hardship or anything, which worked. But like, it's just been like that since July. Like, I mean, the pandemic happened in February, and it's just like, boom. But then you put July in there, and it's like, boom. And, man, I think if there's any person thinking about like going into business or being an entrepreneur, like it's going to be hard if you're in a relationship, because you're not going to be like emotionally available for that person for a very long time. And I think that there's relationships out there that work really great with them, but it's all about finding that person that understands that they have to understand your life, man. Like they have to understand that like you're up at like crazy hours in the morning and like crazy late nights, and like you're with different clients of different backgrounds and different places and traveling, and you know, like there's just got to be so much trust in that relationship, first of all, and then they've second of all just got to understand that like it's not going to be about like them at this exact point in time. Like if you can find the person that's, you know, like, hey, I understand the entrepreneur lifestyle, business owner lifestyle, and I know what this can evolve to and like what it's worth in the long run, and I'm willing to stick it out with you, then like by all means, like that's probably the right person to get in a relationship with. Because if they're understanding that like maybe they see you once or twice a week, and like your phone's like no notifications during the day, and like then, you know, it'll work. But I don't think it's out there, to be honest. Like you know, it's like I'm on Hinge, and like just Hinge, but you just swipe on there. But I have there's literally, I have 45 notifications in there right now of just like girls that are matching. And it's not like they're not hot or like, it doesn't seem like they don't have a cool personality. Like they're all hot. They all have good personalities from what they look, their personalities are unhinged, but I don't even message them back.
Yeah.
Like I just don't have the time because I'm like, I don't want the distraction.
Yeah. Dating takes a lot of energy out of you.
A ton.
And I mean, a relationship does too. I mean, the older you get, I think the more mature people get about relationships, but it's like a full-time job. I would imagine.
Man. Like it is. Like oh God, in the past relationship, it was a full-time job. And then we also like got a puppy too. Mm-hmm. And so like you can imagine like having a puppy, like starting a business, like being in this relationship, like God, I was going nuts.
Yeah. What do you think about like working with your significant other and like building something with them?
Well, I think risky business.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd ever do it.
Yeah.
Not unless I really, really had like a feeling or like, some kind of like history in the relationship where there was enough trust and everything there that said, internally I was like, yeah, like this is my person that I'm going to go do this with and like build something. But I think that there's a lot of people out there that do it, but I don't think that people just meet and they're like, let's start a business together while we're in this relationship. I think, I think the couple that sticks out the most to me is Chuck and Joanna Gaines on HGTV. Mm-hmm. I mean, those guys were together for a while before they even partnered and went in on a business because, like, dude, business is no joke. Like, you gotta have some serious trust, like, doing what you're doing, like, especially, like, in the finance and accounting thing. And, even add in the responsibilities of, like, sales. Like, that's a hard conversation to have. Like, if your significant other is not, like, pulling their weight. Like, come on, significant other. Like, I need you to drive more sales. And, like, what if they're just like not capable of it at the end of the day? Or maybe you're slacking, and then I would never recommend it.
Yeah. It's interesting because I've talked to some people and they're all about it. And then other people are like, I don't know if I'd want to tread in those waters. And I've heard the same thing about going into business with like your best friend or someone that you're very close with, because it can do like what you said, kind of sever the relationship.
Yeah. I mean, it's, you got to really, really trust that person. Like, and know that it's like you're getting into business with that person for the right reasons and that they're going to add a significant amount of value. Mm-hmm. Because I think the best friend thing is okay if it's structured the right way, right? Mm-hmm. And, you got to have an operating agreement at the end of the day. Like, if you're ever going to partner with somebody, like, there's got to be an operating agreement. Like, you've got to have the hard conversations about equity and like what they're bringing to the table, like what you've already brought to the table, like how does that equal, like if this thing goes bad, like how do we keep the friendship? Mm-hmm. I think that's more doable than a significant other. Right. So I don't even think I've asked you this, but are you the sole owner of Media Pouch, or Yep.
You are?
Yep.
So what has it been like? It's one thing to like, record videos and produce the media yourself. What has it been like scaling the business and hiring people that you kind of manage and building a team?
It's hard. It's really, really hard. That's like this is the hardest thing that I'm going through right now. And I've had a ton of learning lessons this year of like from firing to hiring to trust, you name it. Like, I've been through it this year because I think my biggest learning lesson was, I was like, and this is like the worst and biggest learning lesson that like I can tell any person out there right now, like to do, like before they even start, is like contracts. Like contracts. Like no matter who you're working with, like what they're doing for you, like what their involvement is, whatever the fuck it is, like contracts. Because I almost got really fucked over at the end of the year with a videographer that I was using, and he had pretty much taken the footage that we had shot at an event. You know, I don't want to get in the specifics of which one it was and stuff, but like, stole the footage, you know, that was media pouches, and then took that same footage and was then shopping it around to, like, you know, in the automotive industry, if you can follow.
Yeah.
And it's just like, whoa, like, what are you doing? And so, like, I ended up having to get a lawyer and, like, sue this person, like, to get my content and videos back. And, like, it was a mess, man. So, like, I think that's rule number one of, like, if you're going to bring on a contractor or employee or, like, have somebody work for you, it's just, like, do contracts. But I think it's especially tough in the media and creative industry to, like, scale and hire people, because, like, anybody, you can teach anybody Excel and, like, how to use the internet and social media and stuff. But, like, what's really hard is teaching somebody how to edit the way that you think. Like, that's the hardest thing. Like, like, how do I take what's in my head of, like, oh, I got this crazy vision of what we just shot, and, like, I'm going to make it do this and that. And yeah, you can kind of tell somebody, like, what to do with it, but they still have to have the creative vision to execute and edit that for you. And I mean, I've used countless editors. Like, I've tried the intern strategy where, like, okay, like, let's bring you on as an intern and let's get you experience. But then at the same time, like, I'm going to test you out and see if you can pick up, like, my creative process and edit the same way that I've done. I've done 2 internship programs this year. So a total of 6 people, 6 editors. Of those 6, there's only 2 that are still, you know, that made it through and, like, work with me, and they've gotten it. So, like, you know, 33%. I think that's a decent ratio. But, like, that's over the time span of a year. And then, like, videographers, a little bit easier to find them to, like, fill the spaces, but still it comes down to, you know, trust and contracts and, like, how they, like, they're customer facing, right? Like, your editors aren't customer facing. So you got to have your videographers, like, you know, they got to fit the culture, the brand, like, represent you and, like, your personality. And so, like, you got to make sure it's a good fit there. If your clients and other people are going to be working with them. Right. So it's, you know, that's the challenge. And I'm going through that challenge right now.
I would almost think that it's one of those situations where you put more focus on a person's personality and potential as opposed to, like, what hard skills they currently possess. Was that accurate?
Yeah, it is. Because, like, if somebody, I think that's true for, like, any industry, honestly, because if you've got somebody who's already, like, got their ways and they know how to do it, like, it's just true. Like, it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks because they don't want to do it, or they can't do it. And that's really why I went the intern route and finding editors and videographers and digital marketers to, like, be a part of the team. Because, I mean, dude, you sign somebody, like, as a contractor for, like, whatever amount of time or whatever project, and you're paying them a shit ton of money, and, like, they're just shitting the bed. Like, that's not good. Right. Especially when you're in startup or scale up mode. Like, it's not good. And that's expensive really quick. So, but, like, it, you know, I guess to further explain the internship program, like, why it works is, like, it's 3 months unpaid. And you're testing them out. Like, is it a good fit for me? Is it a good fit for you? Like, can you actually do this job? Do you want to do the job? And those that make it through, like, it's creme of the creme. You know?
I look back on, like, my college experience, and that was something that I never did, the internship route. Because I didn't care. Like, I didn't really want to do it. But looking back, I definitely understand, like, the importance of it for both the intern, because it kind of helps them to figure out what they like and be in a real world situation. And then also for the company, like you said, to get a feel for that person's personality and how they're going to be as an employee.
100%. I mean, like, the people who make a big stink about, like, interns not getting paid, like, why should they? Like, they're building their portfolio or their experience. Like, I did countless, like, free internships. Like, I made something out of each and every one of them. Like, and if that intern's not motivated and like, you know, they're not going to do that, then I don't know, then they're just at a loss for it. But like, my claim to fame still to this day, like, is one of my internships from college where like, you know, I did an internship for the SIUE marketing, sports marketing department. And we set a world record for the most Pepsi cans opened at one time. Like, that's my claim to fame, and it still does wonders for me. Like, it's such an interesting topic that like you get out of it what you put into it. So,
but I think it's hard for a lot of kids at that age, at like around the internship age, to see it more as a growth opportunity and an experience to learn, as opposed to, I want to make some money over the summer.
I know, and so like that's where the education system fails, and that's where I just say fuck college, because like it literally is just like, I don't know. I think I learned a lot in college. I think I learned some good stuff. I met some great people, had some cool experiences, but at the end of the day, like, it just teaches you the wrong stuff. Like, I use 5% of what I actually obtained in college for like what I'm doing right now. And it's not because I was a double major in economics and finance. Like, all that shit's business. Like, all of what I'm doing now is business, but like, it's just the, like, how you learn and consume content and like research. Like, it doesn't align with like what you're actually doing in the real world of like, you know, execution and like dealing with people and like sales and marketing. Because like, God, if there was a course in college for sales, I would have taken it. Yeah. Because this took me 2 years to finally get good at selling, like actually doing sales. Right. You know, I had my fastest sales cycle ever last night. I was introduced through email to potential prospect. You know, we hop on a call 10 hours later. I close them on the phone. I'm driving from Austin back to St. Louis, and I closed them like on, you know, in the car. Yeah. And I think that's a testament of like, you know, when it's, you got to teach yourself that, like, it's taken me 2 years to get to that point. Right. But like, if somebody could have taught me that in college, that would have been great.
Well, it's also a testament to how great the marketing is for your company as well, because I'm sure that person did some research, and like that credibility was already built, so you didn't have to sit there and create this long pitch for them.
I think it's half that, right? Yeah. I think every sales call is like, every actual like warm lead is half of that, with because like people are going to go and look at the brand and your Instagram and all that stuff, and that provides validation. But the other half of it is actually like, you know, are they a warm lead? And if they are, who did they come from? Did they come from a friend? Did they come from somebody you know that you trust? Yeah. Did they come from your marketing agency partnerships, your vendor partners, like a client referral? Because if they come from one of those, 50% of the sales are already done. Yeah. And they're going to do the other 50% on their own. And then you're going to do, you know, call it the next 5%, like on that call. And they're probably ready to go. Yeah. And they were. And like, the nice thing is like, I'm in the car, right? I've got my shit so automated now with Media Pouch that like, I go into my CRM, I click a button, it sends the proposal, it sends the brochure, it sends the contract, they sign, they pay the money, boom, it's on the calendar, we schedule it. Yeah. Like,
which that's something I read about and like hear so much about, is how systems make a huge difference in building a business. Yeah. Having as much of that mapped out ahead of time, so you know right when client A gets to this point, we are going to put them through this funnel or whatever.
Yeah. It is 100% worth whatever investment that you need to do to build out that, you know, your CRM with your contracts and your workflows and your automation. Like, it does wonders, because you also don't want to wait to send the contract and collect payment from somebody if they just said yes to you on the call. Like, you want that right now. You don't want them to think about it. Like, you want them to get in there and do it right now. And so like, I can click a button from my car and like, done.
That's so true. Yeah.
Like, I want it instantly. So,
all right, I got like a few more like entrepreneurship questions I want to ask to kind of wrap it up. Okay. The first one is like, what if you were going to give advice to someone who wants to be an entrepreneur, what would that be?
So say it again, like entrepreneur advice to anyone, or
like if someone wants to start their own business, what do you think like the key ingredient is to being an entrepreneur and being successful with it?
I think it just comes down, like, I don't think you have to be the smartest person. I would tell anybody that, like, if they think that they need to go get a college degree or some kind of like certification or something to validate like how smart they are, like a master's or PhD, and they think that they need that to start a business, I would tell them 100% don't do that. Like, don't put yourself that much into debt, because the key ingredient is hard work. Yeah. And like just getting out there and starting, and like I'm not like being in the relationship with your company or your brand, whatever you're building, and just working like as much as you possibly can. Like, I'm not saying everybody needs to have countless sleepless nights like me or like do 18-hour days, but you know, you're definitely going to need to put in more than 8. Mm-hmm. Right. Like, you know, I think somewhere between 9 and 14 on a daily average is what it takes. And that's the key ingredient. But be smart about it, right? Because if you're just going to sit there and twiddle your thumb and talk to Jim or Lisa or whoever for whatever amount of hours, like, that's not going to work. Mm-hmm. You need to be doing strategic things as you're starting out, and like as you're scaling and as you're, you know, continuing your business. You know, and I think a lot of it just starts with networking. Yeah. Like, it starts with networking. It starts with partnerships. Mm-hmm. It starts with really just identifying and like showing what, like figuring out what it is that you're going to offer. Mm-hmm. You know, I've put ours into the niche of like epic videos that drive results. Like, it's the branding. Like, so anybody that's starting out, you know, that wants to work, like, just get some gray hairs, get some bags underneath your eyes. I promise it's cool. And just do it.
Well, something I've kind of realized over the past year or so is how work, like, I think when you're trying to start something, and I've noticed this with the podcast, like, I consider me, like, posting on my Instagram work.
It is.
You know, or like me, like when I'm out with my friends, kind of like socializing, kind of networking a little bit in that sense. That's kind of work. Like, it doesn't have to be a cookie cutter approach to where work is from me 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Friday. That's the only time I work.
I think, oh man, I think you're actually like given a really good piece of advice right there, because when I first started, like, left Amazon, right, like, so up until that point it's all school, you know, like, it's very structured, then Amazon, very structured, and then you leave and you're just like, what do I work on? Mm-hmm. Like, what does my day look like? Mm-hmm. What is work? What is the definition of work for me? Like, what are these things that I need to be doing to like build this thing? And it's so unknown. And that is probably the biggest thing that gave me like anxiety and like made me nervous and just all over the place at first, because you have no clue what it's like to go from structured to just unstructured. And like, I think that's super important.
Well, and that also goes back to the point you made about our schooling system. It literally teaches you
that.
A structured routine from the age you're 3 years old or 4 years old till you're 21 years old. So it's just ingrained in you.
It's the worst thing ever for entrepreneurs. Yeah, like, it literally, if you're going to go work in corporate for your life, like, great. It's going to do just fine for you. And like, you're going to be set up for success. But like, for somebody like me or anybody that wants to go into entrepreneurship, like, good luck, because it's going to take you at least a year to unravel the fucking shit that got wired in your brain from that structure. Like,
that's funny.
Like, I mean, I don't know. There's not too many days anymore where I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? Yeah. But I mean, there's still days where I'm like, what the fuck is my work for today? But it, you know, like, it's like you said with the Instagram post, like, there's a serious amount of work that goes into just that one post.
For sure. Yeah.
Because I need to look at the right hashtags to use. I need to look at, like, what time is the right time to post this?
Yep.
Who do I need to send this to? Like, can I get these pages to, like, repost this and share it on theirs? And, I mean, dude, that's what my digital marketer does.
Yeah.
I mean, like, he's, you know, formulating the content for us, like the right verbiage, you know, like where it's going, like how it's getting on there, the messaging around it. Like, you know, like just when Industrious did the interview on me, I had no clue that they were putting it on social media. I thought it was just going on their website. And I'm just like, oh, fuck. I'm like, I kind of need to like respond, you know, like as media pouch for this. And so we had our first like PR meeting. I'm like, we got to have a proper response to this. And that's a job.
It is.
That's like a job, like, because their platforms have 100,000 followers. Like, say the wrong thing, like, not in today's age, like that'll put you under real fast.
Yeah. I think from the outside looking in, it's really easy to like, discredit how much work behind the scenes actually does go into something.
Yeah. I mean, at face value, everything looks like it's just going and running and things are easy, but there's a lot. I mean, it was I think growing a social audience, a platform, like, it's all hard. You know, I think we kind of got lucky on Instagram this year with going from 1,000 followers to 5,000. But, you know, like, at the end of the day, we're doing what we're doing. It just so happened one video went viral and we got the attention for it.
Well, you guys are also like the content, your job is literally to make sick ass content, which can be easily shared on social media.
We should have a fucking following, you know, like if we don't, then we're not speaking to the brand's actual messaging then.
Yeah, right.
So,
all right. Next question. If you could sit down and have lunch with anybody, dead or alive, who would that be and why?
Yep. I thought about, this was the question I thought about the hardest, actually. Because I knew it would stump me at first, because there's so many people that I would love to have lunch with and sit down with. And I took it from the approach of, you know, there's different categories of people who I would want to have lunch with. Like, one's an inspirational, one's a strategic, and one is, I'll just lay out all three of them. I'm going to give you three.
Yeah, let's hear
because I want 3 lunches. So the first one would be Elon Musk. And Elon Musk, just because what an inspiration. Like, the guy is just uber smart, and he's the smartest guy that's walked this earth. Like, I firmly believe that he is the smartest man that, like, not just man, like, human being that's walked this earth. And to have even 10 minutes of that man's time and ask some valuable questions and get some valuable information is worth a lifetime. Yeah. So that's number one. I guess I have 2, actually, because the other one fell in strategic. But the second person is, I'm going to butcher this name, but it's the founder of Red Bull, Dietrich Mateschitz.
I couldn't tell you if that's accurate or not.
You know what's fucked? I listened to YouTube pronunciation of the name like for 30 minutes on the way over here. And I still can't even pronounce it. But he's Austrian. He is the founder of Red Bull. And I think that at this point in time, where I'm at with things and Media Pouch, like, even though I want to take them over, you know, it would be a very, very valuable lunch and sit down for me to understand, like, how he really built an industry. Like, I don't know how much you know about Red Bull, but Dietrich, like, built the energy drink industry. Like, that was never in existence before him. So he built that, and then, like, you know, he builds the media house on top of it, and it's just like, man, the branding and the content and just the strategicness of, like, how they're selling a product through content that's not even related. It's, I mean, and putting on these events. Like, I mean, it's crazy.
Is he kind of one of those guys that's like behind the scenes more? Because I feel like I don't hear much about him.
Yeah, I don't think that there's actually like there's not a lot of content out there about the founders of Red Bull. I can tell you that the story starts with this guy in Thailand created Red Bull energy drink from, it wasn't even Red Bull at the time, but it was in Thailand, and it was for truck drivers who had to drive really long drives and stay awake. And energy drinks over in Thailand at the time were really expensive, and so he created Red Bull for the poor consumer, if you will. Mm-hmm. And then Dietrich came over, saw this, he had jet lag, and he's like, oh, let's partner. And so like, there's 3 partners, I believe that's 49, and then 2%. And it's so like not any one partner has controlling majorityship of the equity. But like, yeah, there's not a lot of content out there about these guys, but they're all billionaires.
That's interesting. Well, yeah, they probably don't care. They don't want the content out there. They just want to live their life. And
I mean, but like, it's super, I mean, I wish that it was out there because I want to understand their thought processes. I wish every single founder was like Gary Vee, just pumping out content. Right. Like, 100%. Everything about how they're doing it. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I do think it's dangerous, like, giving up that many secrets and everything.
Yeah,
but
no, definitely. All right, last question. If you could go back in time and give a younger version of yourself a piece of advice, what would that be?
I think we kind of talked about it already. And I think that just validates like how much I believe in it. But I would say don't go to college. Like, I joke about it with my friends, and I like kind of just joke about it all the time, and I'm just like, fuck, like, if I wish I wouldn't have gone to college and like put myself into like that amount of debt, and like, like that's like a lot of money that I had to pay off, and still like have a little bit of it left. But like, it's hard to say that I would actually not do it, because it would have totally changed the future of my life. Right. Like, not going to college, not being recruited by Amazon, because at the end of the day, I have to realize and be aware that like Amazon helped me find out that this corporate thing was not for me, and it was unfulfilling. And then that's how I, got into doing what I'm doing now. But yeah, like, don't go to college. Yeah. Like, if it's not going to do you any good, because I had to unwire my brain of being structured. And then, it just, I don't think it paid the dividends that I think it would have. So
this is just kind of like a theory I have, but I think like the future, you're going to see less and less people going to college and doing more so of a like online education program that lasts, I don't know, you get like so many videos or so many like lessons in it, and it's like structured specifically towards a career path.
Yeah, I think that that's totally the route, because like I spend a lot of money on courses each year. Yeah. I think this year I spent $2,000 on courses. Last year I spent $2,000 on courses. Like, they teach you everything.
They do, yeah.
So
they definitely do.
Yeah.
So the last question I have, man, is where can people find you on social media if they want to connect or just see some of the content Media Pouch is putting out? Yeah.
So we're on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, website. It's all Media Pouch, one word. So you can see our company's work on there. If you guys want to connect with me personally, on Facebook, just Ryan Gàllego, LinkedIn, Ryan Gàllego, Instagram is Ryan Gàllego with a 0 at the end of it. And if you guys want to download my business card, it's just ryang360.com, and then that links you into Media Pouch and all that stuff as well. Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you for coming on. This has been the longest interview, but man, this has been so fun. It literally flew by. Good. I loved it. I hope it wasn't boring for anybody listening, but I like to think that we got some fun topics in there that I haven't talked about before. Yeah. So I'm glad it was your longest one, and I appreciate you having us on. Having me on while I was back in St. Louis. Yeah, definitely, man. Thanks.